Hey y'all, it's Nathan here with the Garrett Racing Team. I want to welcome you back to the race shop as we do some more work on this open wheel modified tonight. We're actually going to be doing some stuff with our radiator and fan cooling system. So I actually made this video probably about a year ago before last season. We were having some issues with our single mounted fan that you see right here. And we basically ended up replacing that single fan with a dual mounted fan. So there's two smaller fans. Believe it or not, it actually saved room to put two smaller fans in the car than this one big one. And it actually gives us more cooling capacity and all that. So guys, I really do appreciate you coming back to the race shop, checking us out. If you're new to our race team, basically you're gonna find everything that has to do with short track racing, NASCAR, automotive performance, maintenance, and that type of thing. So let's get in here and get on this ride and get it going. All right, y'all, thank you. All right, so tonight we're actually going to be doing some work with this radiator fan setup that we've got going on here. So the first thing I did is actually I took my top cover plate piece of sheet metal that you see over here off, the hood that you see in the corner, and actually the front nose. It makes it a lot easier to work on this thing when you don't have any of that stuff out of the way. As you can see, I can get right down in here, can get all this stuff off, and can get in here and work on it. So that's the main reason why you see this basically all exposed tonight. But again, you'll understand why here in a second once we get in here and get to working on it. All right, so you're probably wondering why we're actually going to be doing this. You say, hey, there's actually a fan already here. Why change this out? Why go a different route? And what's the issue? So there's actually two main issues that I've found with this deal. The main issue is, I don't know if you can see, but the rear motor that drives the actual fan blades inside sticks out so far that it actually is interfering with my rack and pinion system here that drives my wheels back and forth. So when I turn the input shaft here to make my wheels go left and right, I'm actually interfering with my fan, and that's actually pushing into my radiator. And these fan blades here, especially this clip, as you can see, can rub a hole on your radiator. So luckily, this one's a good radiator. Just bought this from a guy down in Charlotte, and he's a good friend of mine, Jamie Tomano. Shout out to you, guy. Good friend of mine. Does a lot of tour modified racing. Got a lot of good parts and knows his stuff. So he set us up on a new radiator, and he actually got me on a new radiator fan setup. So what I'm going to show you next is what we're going to do. We're going to get away from this to get away from the interference that I'm having with my rack, and also issues with maybe rubbing on my radiator. And if you rub it long enough, it could actually rub a hole in it and cause the water to escape and cause your car to heat. So we're actually going to get rid of this. I'm going to chunk it in this spare parts box or cell box, or I don't know, maybe make a fan that can blow on me during track days when it's hot outside. I don't know. We'll figure something else to do with this. But anyways, I'm going to show you what I'm going to next. So this is my new setup that I'm going to. I actually got, instead of one fan, two smaller fans. And as you can tell, the little motor on the back does not stick out nearly as far as the old fan that I had. Basically, this is going to help me with getting the interference out of my system here, so I don't have to worry about it touching anything. And not only that, even though these fans are smaller, I'm going to have twice the coverage area here. It'll be more surface area all the way across, as you can see here. So it'll actually help cool the cooling system on my car better and more efficiently than the old system setup. So I'm kind of doing two things at once here. I'm fixing a reliability issue with these fans wanting to rub a hole into the radiator. And two, I'm increasing my cooling, I guess, efficiency with my setup here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pull this radiator out, prep it, and get ready to mount these fans on the actual radiator. So we just got the radiator pulled out so you can actually see the mounts that hold the radiator inside the car. Everything's out and empty now. Got my handy dandy chair workbench here. Use anything for a tool, I guess. We're going to use this to help get this radiator fan set up and mounted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure and kind of, I don't want to do a halfway job doing this. Try to make sure that I've got the same amount of distance from here to here, and then from the side to side, it more or less lines up perfect anyway. So Another thing I'm doing too, if you notice, this blue plug here with this fitting is actually the top of the radiator, and that's the bottom. I know that's because that's the drain. And I'm going to have the wire sticking upright because the way I want to wire this deal, coming from the chassis, my wire for my power from the battery is coming in from the top side as well. So when we mount this deal, we're going to make sure that these wires are upright. We have the equal distance here and here, make everything look good and professional. And once that's done, we should be ready to just set the radiator back in there and get ready to wire up everything. Also, before I forget, you may wonder, how are you going to actually attach this fan to the radiator? So if you've never seen these are actually some plastic hardware that you can get from really any auto parts store. And what they are basically a plastic rod that actually can fit. I don't know if you can see here, can fit through any of these little fins, these cooling fins, and slide all the way through. So you actually have mounting holes on the radiator all the way around. There should be 4 on each one. And you slide this through, and you actually use a push connector that's got teeth on the inside that slides in on the, I guess you'd say, the male end, and goes all the way in and tightens down with these little cushion pads on both sides. And the excess that sticks out, you actually just trim off, and your fan stays in place. So we're going to do 4 on this one that comes in one bag, and then 4 on another one that'll go on the other bag. And once it's all nice and clean looking, I'll show you what I've got here when I'm clipping the ends off and see as a finished product what it looks like. So we got the radiator fans affixed now. As you can see, we have them both. They're basically both equal distance from the top and bottom now. Good coverage all the way around, good surface area for cooling. And as I said before, we had these rods that came and they stuck out. I already trimmed the ones on this side just to kind of give you an idea that they stick all the way through. And I'll just take a pair of snips once I'm finished and just cut them. This keeps, well, if you don't cut them, you won't have enough room to mount the thing. So, anyways, we're going to cut these off. And I'll show you on the front side how they're mounted. There's basically a spring and a little push tab right there. And we actually also put some foam rubber in between where these things mount to keep it from rubbing on the actual radiator. So next, what we're going to do is set this thing in here and get it situated. And we're also going to have to look at getting these things, these wires wired back in and into the electrical system. So we're actually going to take some more foam rubber, put them down the sides of the radiator and on the bottom, and to help with cushioning. I don't ever like putting metal on metal, especially with this radiator, so it doesn't vibrate and hopefully wear a hole in something. So we're going to get that put in there, and then once it's done, I'll show it sitting actually in the car. We got the radiator back in the car, fans attached, got the pieces of foam rubber stuck down beside, everything bolted back down. Also went ahead and made me a couple of brackets here on the bottom and bolted the brackets to the side of the radiator and radiator mount. So everything's nice, bolted, clean, back together. And as you can see, we now have plenty of clearance now between the rack and our fans. And now all I got to do now is I'm just going to wire these up to my wire going to my battery and my kill switch, on and off switch inside the cockpit. Now that we got the fan installed, we can go ahead and move forward with getting everything wired up. I've actually got a toggle switch on the inside of my cockpit that I can actually turn the fan on and off as I need it to help cool the car, especially under caution conditions or red flags, or anytime we're sitting still and really not getting any air flowing over the front end of this thing. We actually have to use this fan to push air across. And actually, it's pull air across because it's actually sucking air through and kind of pushing it back towards the engine. So what we ended up doing is basically taking each wire from the left and right fan, and I ended up splicing the wires. There's actually a blue and a black for each, so I took the blue from this one and the blue from this one and the black one and tied those together, and then the black from this one and the black from that one and tied those two together. The black is actually going to my ground. So as you see, I got a piece of wire loom here that we're going to finish tying up later. I've got it actually ran and clamped in here with a bolt and nut, and that actually keeps everything grounded, a good nice ground to the actual chassis of the car. And then I ran my hot wire from the blue to my connector here that actually goes inside the car. So as you can see, all that's nice and tied back in. Just used some wire from the local Napa Auto Parts store, 12 gauge, since I was running two wires, splicing two wires into one. I used a little bit heavier gauge, thicker wire to hopefully handle the amperage and current pulling through that. And then the hot side for the blue, I used red. So black was used for the ground, red was used for the hot side of the fan, and used some good old electrical tape to tie up everything to make sure there's no loose connections or skint places that can arc off of any bare metal. And then we also use these connectors here. This was for my ground wire, and then my two butt connectors to tie everything back in together. And then also I got a little, I guess, kit for all different sizes that you would need. But anyways, one quick thing too, if you did not know this, if I reversed the ground and the hot and put one on the other and made the ground hot and hot ground, instead of the air sucking through the radiator and pushing back towards the engine, it'll actually reverse the polarity of the motors here. The air would actually blow through the radiator back out towards the front. You'd have air movement, but it would not work too good going down the track when air is trying to flow this way and the fans are trying to blow this way. So you want to make sure the fans are blowing the same direction that the air that's coming into the car is going. So anyways, I'm going to turn it on real quick, kind of let you hear it and see what's going on. And you can kind of see inside my cockpit here, we've got a toggle switch here. Well, I need to turn got a main kill switch. Turn the main kill switch on, toggle switch. And you can hear the fans blowing now. Good, nice breeze there. So it should be a good, nice fan setup now. All right, y'all, that's more or less gonna do it for tonight with this video. I hope you enjoyed it. We got a dual mounted fan system mounted to our radiator. It looks really good and clean. I actually ran it some last year, haven't had any problems out of it. As you can see, it's still in the car, no problems at all. Just been doing a flawless job. It was definitely the right thing to do for this deal. It's constantly improving, trying to get better on everything that we do. And, a lot of it's not even from a speed standpoint. It's actually from a reliability standpoint so that you can finish races, don't have issues and that type of thing. So the old saying goes, to finish first, you must first finish. So a lot of this stuff, especially for race cars, is a game of attrition. If you can make it the whole race and still be fast, a lot of times you come out on top. Guys, I appreciate you sticking around. If you made it this far, thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure to check us out again next week. We're going to start doing some shorts, a little short, maybe 3 to 5 minute videos, along with our iRacing that we do, so that you can get more content out there. If you're happy to see this, always be sure to let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. Comment, let us know, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thank y'all from Garrett Racing Team. See you next time.